And we are live. Good afternoon, everybody. It is Thursday. It is noon. My name is Adam Miller with the 941 Lifestyle Group. Glad that you can join us. Give it a second for everyone to come on. Do me a favor, though. Drop a comment down below. Let us know where you guys are watching from. Let us know if you have any questions, any comments. I got a great article to discuss today. We're talking about the 42 major metro areas that are seeing home prices fall. Yay! We made the list. Generally speaking, not the list that you want to make because Florida, we're number 3 on the list. Not Florida, our area, Sarasota. And guess what? 12 of the top 13 areas, they're in Florida. Yay, winning. Not winning. Not a great list. So full disclosure, I was on a fellow real estate agent's live stream. I want to say it was last week, and this was the topic of conversation. Now, generally speaking, when you do a live stream with somebody else, depending on the software that they have, you can share that live stream to your platform. So I normally would have been able to just stream their live stream onto our YouTube platform. This one didn't have the option, but it was a great conversation and it was a great topic. And obviously, Florida's on the list. 12 of the 13, 42 metro areas where prices are dropping. So it's a great conversation to have. So I figured I would just kind of repeat the topic. Now, obviously not repeat the conversation because I am doing this one solo, although just talked to somebody, I was like, oh, I should have had you on there because their market was just behind us in Sarasota, Bradenton. So keep those comments coming. We are Adam Miller with the 941 Lifestyle Group. And let's dive in. Let's talk about the article. Great stuff. So let's get that off screen. So 42 housing markets see home prices fall. Is a bigger shift coming? Great conversation, right? All right, so let's just dive in. Why can't I scroll? Oh, there we go. Okay, so national home prices have risen by 2.1% year over year from February 2024 to February 2025. Not happening all over the country, right? That's a deceleration from 4.6 year over year from last spring. However, not every housing market is seeing rising home prices. Among the 300 largest metro area housing markets, 42 markets are seeing falling home prices on a year over year basis. That's up from last month when just 31 of the nation's 300 largest metro areas also saw home prices fall. While home prices continue to rise in regions with tight inventory, such as the Northeast, the Midwest, Southern California. By the way, the live stream I did was in Southern California, so it was shocking to see what was happening in that area compared to what's happening in our area. Some housing markets in states like Texas, Florida, and Louisiana, where inventory has now surpassed pre-pandemic 2019 levels, are experiencing modest price corrections. So let's take a look at the list. So just as a kind of fully understanding. So the multiple listing service that I am a part of, I think is the largest in the country. It's certainly the largest in Florida. It makes up, I think, like more than 19 counties, a massive, massive, massive area. But Punta Gorda is in our multiple listing area. The next one on the list is Cape Coral and Fort Myers, not on our list. Northport, Sarasota, Bradenton. That also is going to conclude Lakewood Ranch because Bradenton and Lakewood Ranch are kind of in and around the same-ish. And then there's Naples, Marco Island, which is about 2+ hours south, not in my multiple listing service. Panama City, and then Austin, Texas. We've known that was coming for a while. Tampa, St. Pete, Clearwater, about an hour north in my multiple listing service. The next ones are not. Sebastian, Vero Beach on the East Coast, Deltona, Daytona Beach, Ormond Beach, also on the East Coast. Crestview, Fort Walton, Destin, that is up near that Panhandle. Port St. Lucie on the East Coast. Let's go Mets. That's what they do their spring training, by the way. Palm Bay, Titusville on the East Coast. Lakeland, Winter Haven. I think that is in Central Florida. And then back off the list. So that's the states or the cities. And you can see most of those are in Florida. So let's continue with the article. The market's seeing the most softness where home buyers are gaining leverage, connected to a buyer's market, are primarily located in Sunbelt regions, particularly the Gulf Coast and the Mountain West. So we're obviously in the Gulf Coast. These areas saw major price surges, and we're going to go through that during the pandemic housing boom. When I saw those numbers, they are mind blowing. When I show you them, it is just, like, obviously I do. I'm a real estate agent. Follow the data, see the prices increase. But when you see that on the screen, holy cow! So these areas saw major price surges during the pandemic, with home price growth outpacing local income levels as pandemic-driven migration slowed and mortgage rates rose. Markets like Tampa and Austin faced challenges, relying on local income levels to support frothy home prices. This softening trend is further compounded by an abundance of new home supply in the Sunbelt. So obviously, if you follow the channel, Lakewood Ranch currently has, I want to say, 20 neighborhoods currently under construction. That's tremendous. So some buyers who would have previously considered existing homes are now opting for new homes with more favorable deals. And I just had this conversation with one of our clients, actually two of our clients the other day, because obviously going into a listing, that you really can't compete with new construction because the incentives that they offer are just insane. And we're going to end this live stream talking about some of the incentives. But the incentives that some of the new builders are offering are just unbelievable. All right, let's go back. Okay, so 1 year change in metro level home prices between, this is the map showing the changes. So let me show you this. This is the conversation that we discussed the other day in this live stream, and I was blown away. So let's see, Northport, Sarasota, Bradenton. So year over year change is down 6.9%. I'm going to go over the super specific ones with you. The 2 year change is down 7.2%. The 3 year change, prices were up 1.1% over the previous year. 4 years ago, prices were up 35.9%. And then 5 years ago, right, smack in the middle of the pandemic, prices were up 51%. That means if you had a $100,000 house in a year, all of a sudden it was worth $200,000. That is completely nuts. But you can see on this map, this is a map of the whole country, where prices are up and where prices are down. So in the blues, they're up. In the reds, they're down. Not surprising. You can see, can I scroll to Florida? I can't scroll to Florida. You'll have to see it from the big map. But you can see, right? Naples, Marco Island, that 5 year was up 61.4%. So it's no wonder that prices are starting to come down. Are they going to come down 51%? Who knows? Probably not. But when I show you the numbers, you would think that possibly could. So 5 year change in Cape Coral, Fort Myers, 51.3%. That's how much they increased. So Punta Gorda, 44%. And then our area, 51%. So obviously prices coming down, probably a good thing. Not so great if you are a seller. But that is just insane, right? So let's talk about why this is happening, because it's more than just overinflated prices and now prices are coming back down. That's not kind of how things work. So it is really the perfect storm here in Florida. I got a whole entire summary of everything that is causing this one. I'm not going to drill down and go through everything specifically, but let's talk about the obvious one, which is insurance. Actually, put this up on screen for you to see. Oh no, this one. Right, so let's start with insurance. Florida homeowners have seen their property insurance costs double or even triple in the last few years. Major carriers have pulled out of the state while others have gone bankrupt. And those who remain, they're raising the rates fast. So that directly impacts homeowners associations because they have to pay their insurance. And guess what? When their insurance premiums go up, that gets passed along. So homeowners insurance is the first one, right? When insurance rates go up, and we're going to talk about why that is. Obviously, we had 3 back-to-back hurricanes in this area. But yeah, so when the HOA fees go up because their insurance goes up, that gets passed on to the homeowners. Let's talk about the next one, which is special assessments. Now, special assessments really started to come to effect here in Florida because of the Surfside condo collapse. I think it was back in 2021. But now what that's doing is created new laws that require older condos to complete major structural inspections. And if repairs are needed, those costs often fall on owners in the form of lump sum possessions. Now, this one still blows my mind because Florida has been able to get away with not having to put aside money for special assessments. I've done a bunch of videos on this. it is completely mind-blowing because, so here's what happened. So we were in Florida, we moved to Maui, we moved back to Florida. On Maui, we sold a ton of condos. That's primarily where the market is, vacation rental condos. One of the first questions we would ask when we're doing our due diligence for our buyers, one, are there any special assessments coming, right? Because you want to know if you're going to have a $1 million fee that's going to increase your monthly payments month over month. We'd ask, how much is in your reserves? Now, every homeowners association should have a reserve. In Florida, they were not required to have one, which is unbelievably mind-blowing. How is that possible? That is the downside to deregulation, because now it is causing a massive issue in the state of Florida. So special reserves means that the homeowners association puts money aside for, one, projects that they know are going to have to happen, right? If you need to replace the roofs, if you need to replace, not if, when you need to replace the roofs, when you need to maybe refinish the pool, maybe when you need to paint the building or pave the community roads. That will have to happen. You want a homeowners association who has that money already set aside, and usually that comes from your homeowners association. So let's just say, for argument's sake, your monthly homeowners association is $500 a month. We're just making up numbers. They will take a percentage of that. Let's say it's 10%. So $50 a month from everyone who lives in that community, and put it aside for those rainy day projects that is going to happen, right? You're going to have to replace the roofs. It might be next year. It could be 5 years. It could be 50 years. You want that money put aside so that you don't get hit with a special assessment, a $5 million fee to replace all the roofs. Lost my train of thoughts. Then there are those money that you want put aside for those things that you don't know are going to happen, right? So there's some project that are going to have to take place. There's other things that you don't know are going to take place. Like, for example, I was a homeowners association, and there were no elevators, there were stairs, but we started to see that some of the staircases were collapsing. Now, they weren't going to immediately collapse, but certainly in the next 12 months to 72 months, right, a year to 5 years, they could collapse. So we had to replace those. We had some money put aside, but we needed to put more money aside to replace those. So those are the projects that you don't necessarily know they're going to come. So the sheer fact that the state of Florida did not require homeowners associations to put that money aside is mind-blowing. So, it's this one. So now they are. So because of that collapse, homeowners associations are now being required to put aside money, which, surprise, could be in the 5 figures, 6 figures. And these are surprise bills that are forcing some homeowners to sell. Why? Because now they can't afford their monthly payment. So they have their homeowners association, right? You have your taxes, you have your insurance. Now you have a special assessment, which is going to be an additional fee. And your tax, I say taxes, yeah, it's going to be an additional fee. And let's just say that goes up $100 or $500 or $1,000. That is a lot of money to spend, especially if you are maybe a retiree on a fixed income. Not even a retiree, if you're just on a fixed income, a massive, massive, massive problem and a massive issue. And then the bigger problem, in my opinion, especially as a real estate agent, is we see a lot of these folks trying to sell them. And again, I'm going to go through the specific data. But now the problem is you are selling it, and let's say I want to buy it. I have to be made aware of what the HOA fees are, if there's any special assessments, and then I find out there's a special assessment that's going to cost me an additional $500 a month. Forget it. I can't afford that. I don't want to buy it. Doesn't make sense. So I don't buy it. So the condo sits on the market, unable to be sold at almost any price. Massive issue, right? And then there's property taxes. So as values rose during the boom, and this happened a lot all over the country, so did the assessed values. And in some counties, tax bills jumped 20 to 30% year over year. So you combine that with rising insurance and your rising HOA fees, and it's creating a real affordability issue. So property taxes, when let's just say a house is worth $100,000, and this happens, I think, just about every state, but let's talk about Florida. So the county comes in and says, okay, based on $100,000, here's your tax rate. But then when they go to reassess the property, right, your property value increase, always a good thing if you're trying to sell it, not so great if you want taxes. Now, of course, as we're talking about this, Our Governor DeSantis is trying to get rid of property taxes. We'll see if that happens. Don't know. Be great for a whole lot of reasons. Of course, they have to make that tax up somewhere. They're probably going to make it up with visitors. Good thing, bad thing, right? If the taxes are too high here and the fees are too high, visitors sometimes choose to visit other places. We saw that on Maui. Anyway, that's a different topic of conversation. But let's just say your property value, like we saw, increased from $100,000 to $200,000. The county then comes back in and reassesses your property. So now instead of paying taxes on a $100,000 house, you pay taxes on a $200,000 house. Now you saw the numbers that the properties jumped up 51%. You get a reassessed value and your taxes now go up. It is literally like the perfect storm. And then, of course, let's talk about the hurricanes, because we had three back to back to back to back to back. We had Hurricane Debbie back in August. We had Hurricane Helene back in September. We had Hurricane Milton back in October, back to back to back. So these three consecutive storms significantly impacted Florida's housing market, leading to increased insurance premiums, reassessed flood zones, heightened concern about coastal living expenses. Now, we have seen that, and I'll show you that in the numbers, the amount of properties that are being listed for sale up and down the coast. Now, there's no way to really know if the people listing those for sale, you don't really know the exact reasons why. I can't, if I'm a listing agent, I'll know that you're selling it because you're sick and tired of rebuilding. But generally speaking, there's no way for us or the public to know the main reason behind. But there's got to be the taxes, there's got to be the flood insurance or the lack of being able to get flood insurance, the special assessments, the HOA fees, the taxes, all of those things going up are kind of forcing people who own these properties in and around the Gulf Coast or on waterways, whether that's intercoastal or canals, where they could potentially flood. Massive, massive, massive issue here. All of that compounded by the new Florida HOA laws, right? We just talked about that one. Now there's stricter reserve requirements. And of course, you add to that the rising construction costs, the global tariffs, and material shortage. And then you've got a ownership model that is starting to look mighty shaky. It is a massive issue in the state of Florida. So drop a comment down below. Let us know what you think. Now, are we having a market crash here? Not sure we're having a market crash here. Certainly a correction. Let's talk about specifically what is happening in our region. So let me show you the stats real quick. Hello. There we go. Oh, let me share my screen real quick. Let's see. Are you seeing that one? No, let's get rid of this one. Housing markets. So there it is. So now statistics just came out last week, but for purposes of this video, let's talk about what's happening with the townhouses and condos. Now, ideally, I would love to have just the conversation about condos because townhouses have obviously different rules and regulations, but the way our real estate association separates those, they or organize those, they don't separate them, they do them together. So take a look at this. Closed sales. This is for the month of February, down to 12.2%. The median sale price down to 12.3%. The average sale price is down 21.5%. That is a red flag right there. That prices for condos are down 21%. Now keep in mind, obviously they were up 51%. The dollar volume, that is the total amount of transactions, down to $109 million. Still a lot, but that one's down 31.1% over the same time last year. The list price to sell price, 93.6%, meaning that on average, just to say you listed it at $100,000, on average, they're selling for $93,600. Do the math on $1 million property, that's $30,000. The days on the market is increasing both for the median time to contract and the median time to sell. Pending sales are down 13.4%. The month supply of inventory is up to 9.1%. What does that mean? That means, and that's up 35.8% over the same time last year. What does that mean? That means that if no other condos got listed for sale, it would take 9.1 months to sell through those condos. That is tremendous amount. So you can see why so many of the metro areas are in Florida. Hey, by the way, if this is your first time checking out our channel, hello, welcome. My name is Adam Miller with the 941 Lifestyle Group. I'm a real estate agent. I'm a lifestyle matchmaker. So glad that you found the channel. This channel really is about living, working, playing, retiring in Lakewood Ranch. So if that's something you want to see more of, do me a favor, smash that like button, hit that little subscribe button. And again, drop a comment down below because we want to know where you guys are watching from. So what does this all mean for our area? So if you're a buyer, great opportunity to buy. Now, I said that the other day in a video, and you would have thought that, oh, man, real estate agent, of course, you're going to tell people to buy right now, which is not necessarily true. If you follow the channel, I'm just going to give you kind of the facts so you can make a smart and informed decision. Now, of course, saying it's a good time to buy is my opinion, but that is based on facts. And here's why. A couple things. There's a ton of competition. Houses are sitting on the market for a long time in our area. Sarasota, Manatee County, in particular, those are the two counties we really focus on, although we can do business in DeSoto and Tampa and Hillsborough and a couple other counties, but Sarasota, Manatee County. So there's a significant amount of homes being listed for sale because I think overall homeowners know that prices are coming down, so they're trying to get them on the market now. We didn't even talk about the Canadian buyers. I did a video about that, and man, the responses are not surprising. All right, half of you were like, fine, America first, go home, we don't need you here, which sounds great in theory. Of course, my response to every one of those people who made that comment was, are you interested in buying one of their condos? Now, of course, they're not. They're waiting for somebody else to deal with that one, right? Doesn't work that way. I'm sure the people making that comment were not the people who owned the mom and pop shops up and down the coast who get a lot of support from Canadian buyers, right? Of course, the people making those snide comments, they're not going to go down to the beach regularly for months at a time to go support those mom and pop businesses. Somebody else will deal with that one. Not my problem, right? It's not your problem until it's your problem. So take it for what it's worth. But yeah, Canadian sellers are selling also, and they're taking their money elsewhere. You don't have to agree with that. One, you don't like it, but it is having a massive impact on our local economy, my local economy where I live. So if you want to make it political and make a snide remark, then let's have an intelligent conversation about what the plan is, because the plan is probably not for you to buy that condo, right? You're just waiting for somebody else to buy that condo. Okay, I digress. So there are more homes listed for sale. There are significant price adjustments, right? Because our market is just coming down, coming down, coming down, and we've got sellers who want to sell, and I understand it. I've got listings that I'm trying to sell also, and dropping the price, trying to catch up to the real estate market. Interest rates are still high. They're still hovering around 6.5%. And a lot of properties are failing to sell. So I pulled up some stats just before I got on the live stream. In the past 7 days in our multiple listing service, there were 2,050 properties that had to adjust their price down. That is massive, 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 massive. If you've been following me for a long time, I've gone through that number on my live streams. That number used to be like 400, and then it was like 600. And now it's a little over 2,000 price adjustments, right? Because prices are coming down, and the people listing it usually have to sell. Generally, what we're seeing right now is people who are selling their homes are people who have to sell for whatever reason. In the past 24 hours, 430 properties had to adjust their price. That is also unbelievable. That was the number that used to be for an entire week. That happened in the last 24 hours. And in the last 7 days, this is a really telling sign of what's happening in the economy here. 312 properties expired and came off the market. So let me explain really quick for those of you who are maybe new to the channel, or maybe have not heard me talk about what an expired listing is. So generally speaking, when a property gets listed for sale, the homeowners sign a listing agreement with the real estate agent and the brokerage. Generally speaking, not hard written in stone, that contract is about 6 months. Sometimes it's a year, sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less, but let's just say it's 6 months, 180 days, your property will be listed for sale. When a property expires, that means that 180 days lapsed and the property failed to sell. Now, in my experience, I've listed and sold hundreds of homes. There's really only one reason that a property expires, and that's the price. Let me say that again. There's really only one reason that a home fails to sell and expires, and that's the price. I've jokingly said for over a decade that a house on the highway will sell for the right price. Now, of course, the home has to be marketed well. It has to show well. It has to be in decent condition. But at the end of the day, make no mistake about it, it's always about price. 312 properties came off the market failing to sell in the last 7 days. That is ginormous. So is the sky falling? The sky is not falling. Can you get a good deal if you're a buyer? You absolutely positively can. If you're a seller, our recommendation is at this point, you got to price it at or below market value. And you have to make sure that it looks great. You have to make sure that you have a real estate agent who knows how to market properties, because the days of just putting it on the multiple listing service, putting a sign in the yard, and then doing this, oh, please, somebody else buy this house. Those days are over. You can't just do that anymore. So you need an agent who, one, is going to be honest with you about what it's going to take to sell a property in today's shifting market. You're going to have an agent who knows how to market beyond just putting in the multiple listing service and doing a couple of social media posts. But if you're a buyer, actually, if you're a seller too, you have to think about how you compete against new construction. Now, I've always been under the mindset that you can't really compete with new construction, because if I'm looking to buy a home and I have a lot of time, I could wait 12 months to 18 months to have a house built. If I don't have that time frame, I have to buy a resale home. However, here's what I mean. Let's talk about incentives, because right now the builders are offering insane incentives. And as a homeowner who is selling, you're going to have to find a way to compete, because we are seeing people who decide not to buy resale, who kind of change their plans and go, the heck with it. I'm going to buy a new construction house. I'll stay where I'm at now, and I'll wait the 10 months, 12 months, 15 months, 18 months in some cases to have a house built, because the incentives that they're offering are just insane. Now, if you want a copy of this, DM me and I will send you a link to this. I'm not going to go through all of them. I'm going to scroll real quick just to show you how many of these are these advertised. Now, again, there's 20 plus new construction communities in Lakewood Ranch. Not every one of them are advertising their incentives on this website I have access to. But look, you have Arthur Ruttenberg in Wild Blue, Arthur Ruttenberg at Star Farms, up to 6% on home sites, DR Horton in both Star Farms and Solera, all closing costs paid. It's hard, if not impossible, for a homeowner selling their resale home to pay for all their closing costs. Now, you can. There's different strategies that we use to help compete with that one. David Wheatley is offering discounts in Waterside and Landing, 4.99% interest rates. We've seen that as well too, where the builder is offering to buy down the interest rates. 4.99. That's almost a full 1.5 less than what the actual current rate currently is. Hard for a resale homeowner to compete with that one. Del Webb Catalina, a brand new one, flying by. I thought this was fantastic. Receive up to $3,000 in travel reimbursement. Dang. Dream Finders at Bungalow Walk. By the way, we've done videos on a lot of these. I'm going to put a link in the description so you can check them out. Homes by Town in Waterside Shellstone and in Lake House Cove. Homes by West Bay and Star Farms, up to 6% in bonus cash. But you see what I'm saying, right? Some of these incentives are just absolutely insane and tough to compete with. So what do? You got to hire yourself a great real estate agent. So let's talk about really quick the new construction builders, because I like to say this because a lot of people don't really know this. By the way, I'm going to put this link down below so that you see our other channel. We have two channels. The one you're currently watching, 941 Lifestyle Group, and then a second channel, which is just home tours, 941 Premier Home Tours. We've done videos just about all of the new construction models, not all the models because there's hundreds of them. If you happen to go to see one of the new model homes, or if you happen to go to the Lakewood Ranch Visitor Center, which is on Main Street in Lakewood Ranch, do us a big favor. Register us as your real estate agents. My wife, Jessica, works exclusively with buyers. I'll put her contact information down below. And here's why I say this. When you go to a new model home and you see the sales associates, very nice, very friendly, very knowledgeable. We're friends with a lot of them. However, they work for and represent the seller, which in this case is the builder. Let me say that again. Those sales associates work for and represent the seller, not the buyer. You are not saving money because you did not come in without a real estate agent. At the time of this recording, home builders are still paying buyer agent compensation. What does that mean? That means it's not going to cost you any extra money out of pocket to pay us to represent you in this transaction. So do us that big favor. Register us, Jessica Miller, 941 Lifestyle Group. I'll put her information down below. So if you have questions about selling a home in this changing economy, if you have questions about buying a home in this changing economy, my contact information is going to be down below. We appreciate you guys watching. As always, if you catch the live stream on the replay, still drop those comments down below. We will get back to you. It could be a topic of conversation for another video. We appreciate you watching. See you in the next video.